Hi, what I want to show here is a project that I did quite some time ago. I wanted a tool to sharpen knives in a very precise way, and this is what I came up with. It looks a bit like a turntable, and in fact it is basically a spinning sandpaper disc. I can set a speed as I need it and also switch between clockwise and counterclockwise rotation. This video will explain how my disc grinder works. Let's take a look on the inside. The motor and gearbox I used for this machine is from an old bread cutting machine that I salvaged from the trash. The motor itself is not the most powerful one ever, but with the gear reduction by the threaded slug driving this large white gear, it spins my turntable with quite some power and also a decent speed. On the electronic side I used standard components like this switch here and the normal fuse holder. To set the spinning speed of the motor, I used the guts of a cheap light dimmer that I had lying around. One of these things for the wall outlet where you can plug in a lamp and then dim it brighter or darker. The motor is not designed for being dimmed with this type of light dimmer, but it works fine, also because the power of the motor is not that high. This switch controls the spinning direction of my motor. My motor is an AC motor already, so you might ask how I can change the direction. Well, the motor has two coils, as I tried to show here, a stationary coil and the rotating coil with its pickups over here. Now, nothing would change when I just change the input polarity for the whole motor, but when I switch the polarity only for the stator coil while leaving the rotor coil as it is, my motor starts spinning in the other direction. I am sure the motor was not designed for that at all, but hey, it works. My disc table is the head of an old video cassette recorder, from which I could also salvage the axle and two bearings for a smooth run. The sandpaper disc is screwed to the table and fine sandpaper is attached to the grinding disc with double-sided tape. I have used 400 grain paper here as far as I remember. And that's it, that's the whole machine. So we have a spinning sandpaper disc, and now, with my pocket knife here, I will demonstrate how to sharpen a knife correctly. A blade is triangle shaped and you want to keep this shape, so for sharpening it is important to hold the blade so that one side of this triangle is flat on the disc, because this is where you want to remove a tiny bit of metal. It is important not to wiggle the blade around like that, because when we do that we will change the shape of the blade and in the worst case destroy it and make it totally dull. A knife should always be sharpened with the blade, not against it. This is the reason why I gave my machine the reverse mode. With that I can sharpen both sides of my blade with the right direction, as I demonstrate here with grinding my pocket knife on the one side first and then on the other. A kitchen knife with a straight blade can be sharpened in the same way. I do not recommend trying that with a sword knife, as it will destroy the teeth. Kitchen knives are usually less hard from the metal than other knives, so we can use less speed on the machine. Again, first the one and then the other side is sharpened carefully and along the whole blade. With this method, the blade remains smooth and does not get rough as it usually does with normal tools for sharpening kitchen knives. The knife is sharp enough to cut paper on the fly, although it will not keep the sharpness for a long time in normal kitchen use. But hey, sharpening only takes a minute or so with my machine, and can always be repeated because the machine does not take away a lot of material.